Yoshi for Nintendo Switch finally has a name, and it's finally coming into its own. After its full reveal as Yoshi's Crafted World during the recent Nintendo Direct, I really started to get the feeling that delay did the game a ton of favors. And I want to talk about that in this video, as well as revise some of the things that I want to see in the game now that I have a better idea of the vision that they have for it. For some people, it may be starting to seem like Yoshi games are on the same trend as Zelda games with all these delays. After all, this has been the second Yoshi game in a row that's been delayed in North America, and the third game overall. So this isn't exactly a new thing, but it's not Zelda levels of delays. Yoshi, outside of these exceptions, always hits its date. Yoshi's Crafted World is the first and only Yoshi game that has received a delay that spanned the entire world. I thought for a while that this was weird. After all, Yoshi isn't Zelda. Those games warranting delays makes complete sense to me because of their relative scale and scope. When the Yoshi for Switch game delayed from a tentative 2018 to 2019, I was under the impression that they just wanted to move it to a date that would be less crowded. Nintendo seems to date their game releases strategically a lot more than other devs seem to at times. Rather than just dating games for the best date that's closest to a game's completion, it's not uncommon for them to have a game that's effectively finished and hold it for months just to give it the most sales potential possible. I'm looking at you, Mario Odyssey. But after seeing the latest Crafted World trailer, I'm not sure that's what they did with this game. This delay feels like something they did to increase the scope of Yoshi's Crafted World and to add additional polish. Admittedly, I personally wasn't super excited for Yoshi for Nintendo Switch when it was first revealed in 2018. To me, the game seemed to lack identity, and the bulk of the footage that we saw featured the run-of-the-mill Green Hill Zone-like World 1-1 stage for the game. To be fair, the trailer had a bit more diversity, but most of what we saw from the game was that one stage. And while that's all well and good for games that are super early in development, we were under the impression that it was within 6 to 8 months away, given that Nintendo doesn't like to announce games further out than that. And don't get me wrong, I was 100% buying it anyway. I've dabbled quite a bit with Yoshi games in the past. I enjoy them as they are typically mechanically interesting despite their child-friendly nature. They never let the "it's for kids" excuse dampen the level design, unlike a certain game we all know, the unmitigated snore fest that is Star Allies, especially if you play solo. Yoshi is different though, and it always has been. Now, to be fully transparent, the first Yoshi for Switch video on this channel is a video that Logan did with him voicing his displeasure with the series overall. To paraphrase, in that video he talked a lot about how Yoshi is a run-of-the-mill platformer, for a lack of a better term. And at the time, I disagreed with him, as many people did. That's what this channel is for. We share our opinions, you share your opinions, and we try to meet somewhere in the middle. The kicker is a lot of people agreed with what he said. That has to tell you something. If so many people that show to have liked Yoshi in the past didn't feel compelled to dive into his recent games often enough to know these things due to feeling the series has gotten stale and repetitive, and despite the fact that Yoshi fans claim there's quite a bit new about these games that people with complaints of stagnation have obviously missed, they just need to play before they judge, these people may say. But the purpose of marketing for any new game should give off an obvious impression of freshness, and the initial teasers for Yoshi for Switch appeared to be more of the same with a new coat of paint, even for me, someone who has played a lot of those newer games. We saw the inclusion of the diorama-like world in those teasers, but the initial trailer focused verbally on the flipping rather than the handmade aspect of the game, and not really much else. It focused so much on this aspect to the point where people claiming to have seen leaks of the game were claiming the game would be called Yoshi's Flipping World, Yoshi's on the Flip Side, or Yoshi Flips the Bird, and a bunch of other completely wrong names that focused on the flipping scene in the initial trailers. This, I think, was the fault of those trailers not detailing enough of the game to give a fuller picture, a minimal way of presenting the game that made it feel a lot less new. A game entirely focused on that perspective shift, a shift that isn't new for games, it's not even new for Nintendo games. One of the main features that Nintendo is currently flaunting about Crafted World is the inclusion of hidden paths in every stage, something that's normally a primary feature in Sonic and Star Fox games. However, in this game, those paths don't seem to be delegated to being one path reserved for more skilled players and another for players that are less savvy. These seem to be about spectacle and Easter eggs, which, considering this game's aesthetic, could be interesting and all, but given the vagueness of their last descriptor, surprises, I'm hoping it's more than that. I gotta admit, I'm sort of nervous that the only real difference may be the visual aspect, but for the sake of the video, let's assume there's more to it than that. I think if those alternate paths are integrated well into the beaten path, almost to the point where a player could stumble into them in some cases, but not well enough where they're too obvious, the watercolor moments for the game would increase exponentially. Nowhere near Breath of the Wild levels of, oh my god, did you see this, but higher levels than some of the other games that I mentioned use alternate paths in their level design. And my hope for these paths are variances in the level design overall. I want each path to have its own unique obstacles to clear. So when I'm talking to a friend that's also playing through the game, it's not just, oh, you gotta look up this alternate path on YouTube so you can see this background element or whatever. It's you gotta play through this sequence. I really think that if each path is designed with Yoshi's capabilities and this game's specific mechanics in mind, that it would greatly increase not only replayability, but again, those watercolor moments when you're talking to your friends about playing through the game. And speaking of the crafted aspect, I believe this new coat of paint has been upgraded to be something that does a lot to take Yoshi into a new direction. A direction that I don't think we've fully seen even now in their advertisement, but we've seen enough to understand the direction they're headed in. Progression will come from deconstruction of the world and possibly construction. I think this game will use the Switch's unique capabilities quite a bit by way of the tech demonstrated through Labo. We could end up physically manipulating the world through items we create in the real world that can interact with the Joy-Con camera, or using HD Rumble to solve puzzles or defeat bosses. Or kind of like how Mario Kart 8 optionally uses some of the Toy-Con creations to introduce a new way to interact with the levels in the game. Potentially, even some standalone creations can be made specifically for this game. And beyond that, I wouldn't be surprised to see any of the available Yoshi amiibo being integrated into the game, but I think they're far less fitting. If I had to choose one, I'd pick having Labo integrated over amiibo, especially if it could mean only having to pick up the specific Toy-Con without the additional cost of the Labo software. But let's be real and cut to the chase. At the end of the video, a game called Yoshi's Crafted World allowing you to create your own levels almost makes too much sense. Of course, that is Mario Maker territory, and as many of you know by now, I'm firmly in the Mario Maker will be on Switch camp. If you weren't aware of that, you should totally watch my Mario Maker video. I'll link it in the card above. Introducing a reason for them to forego doing so, or even a reason to drag their feet, would disappoint me. Also, I wouldn't exactly say that Yoshi's mechanics have the same weight that Mario mechanics do, a weight that would justify making a key feature of a game manipulating the world around fellow players to use those mechanics in ways that only a crowdsourced creation could. If the crafted concept can materialize itself in some unique way that doesn't encroach on Mario Maker, I say go for it. The way to differentiate it in my mind would be to focus what you craft on singular portions of a level. Almost in a drawn to life sort of way, but with crafts. You're presented with a problem and are given free reign to craft a solution with things at your disposal in the immediate area to solve it. At the end of the day, I'm fully prepared to be proven wrong in this hope that Yoshi's Crafted World would be a much more complete feeling game than Kirby Star Allies. It could very well end up being another sub 6 hour happy fun time stroll through the park that doesn't truly challenge or engage you with any unique aspects of the game. However, based on what we've seen so far, I have no reason to believe that'll be the case. So I'll take my chances. But those are my thoughts. What do you think about Yoshi's Crafted World so far? For the comment challenge, let me know what your favorite Yoshi game is. And if you haven't played a Yoshi game before, let me know why. I'll be looking for that and more in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Did you like the video? Click the thumbs up button and share it with a friend who is just looking for more content to watch on Yoshi for Switch, because there's not enough of that on the internet. If you're new here, check out one of the videos that I have linked on the card. And if you're not so new here, consider becoming a channel member for loyalty badges, exclusive emotes, gaming time with us, free Switch keys from time to time, and other stuff. Let me know in the Discord. If you aren't willing or able to support financially, you can still join our regular Discord, and you can support the channel by doing things you were going to do anyway, like buy Yoshi's Crafted World when it comes out. There's a link for that in the description down below. But the most important thing that you could do is subscribe and ring the bell for more videos like this every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. New podcast every Saturday, different channel, also in the description. Okay, that's it for me. See you next week.